Prater and the Ballgame are counting down the days to the start of spring football on March 2nd. The hottest topics on Bronco football.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Countdown to camp on Sports Radio 95.3 FM and 1350 AM. The Ticket.
Hope you guys are ready. Spring football practice starts 1 week from tomorrow. Prater and myself thought, what better way to get a spring football camp countdown going? Yesterday, we talked Bush Hamden and this offense with Taylor Green. Today, Prater, let's go to the other side of the football, the defense. And not near the star power is the offense coming back. And I say not near the, I would say, the confidence with most people around this football program in the defense versus the offense. Let's break it down. We'll go all three layers today, but just overall your outlook on Spencer Danielson and how he's going to rebuild this defense.
Yeah, if you go back to the start of the football season, you've lost Tarlis, you've lost Matlock, you've lost Noah, Biggers, LaBeouf, Skinner, Tyree Jones, and you've lost a whole bunch of firepower on Boise State's defense, and it's brutal. It's absolutely brutal.
Yeah.
The good news is they have a defensive coach, a coordinator in Spencer Danielson, who's been there for a long time and knows what to do. They've got some decent experience. They got a couple players coming back who can, knock on wood, make a nice difference with this football team. I'm talking about guys like Dimitri Washington, who came back, and if he can be healthy and be a difference maker on this defense, they need somebody like that to jump up and rise. They also have a bunch of new kids coming in from last year, these redshirt freshmen. It's time for these redshirt freshmen, the true freshmen of llast year. The Deshaun Misas of the world, who came in with a lot of expectations.
Oh, such fanfare,
and
man.
That's part of your. I'm going to blame that on part of like you, and a lot of people have a lot of hype for these kids, and it's tough to come in as a true freshman. I don't care how good you were as a high school football player. And Deshaun Misa played. I believe he played the last 4 games of the season, all on special teams, as he got in his 4 redshirt freshman games or his true freshman games. So he comes in as a redshirt freshman, and hopefully there's an opportunity for him to play a linebacker. We'll dive into the linebacker position here in a minute, but there's holes all over the place. And as a coach would like to say, especially a coach like Spencer Danielson, they're not holes, ball game. They're opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, and that's college football for you, right? I mean, somebody has to step up. You wait your turn when it is your turn, and people know in this town, I mean, they have just passed. I mean, look at all the edges that this team has had, and that they have just passed down all conference player to all conference player. They've done it at all positions over the last 10, 15, 20 years here. So just because some guy hasn't made a ton of plays yet doesn't mean he's not going to make a ton of plays in the future. I don't know why. I'm just a little skeptical on this defense. We've seen a lot of these guys have, Prater, a ton of reps, and I haven't seen a ton of all-conference caliber productivity from a lot of these guys. And I guess we'll start right up front. You lose Matlock. Let's start with that, who was a huge staple of this defense, interior and the interior side for a long time. And now, okay, who comes up? I mean, Herbert Gums, is he going to be an all-league nose tackle, 3 technique? Ahmad Hassanin, he's a junior now, right? When's he going to get this thing going? Cortez Hogan's the JC product. What type of year can he have? Michael Callahan's been here a while. I think he was a transfer. Is that the yeah?
And he's played a little bit inside, but he's mostly an edge guy.
Is he going to do something? So there's just a lot of guys. The Divine Obucheri's gone, right? Yeah, they don't even have Divine back. So yeah, I'm nervous about the interior in this defensive line, and I haven't even got to the pass rushers yet.
Well, you lock Herbert Gums in as your starting nose tackle.
Yeah.
He started every game last year as a nose tackle, and he's going to be better. And Herbert Gums will be the anchor of your defensive line, and I'm okay with that. Hogan's and Hassanin replacing Tarlis. They got plenty of opportunities when Tarlis went down, and they came in. Hogan and Hassanin started every single game in the second half of the season. So there's some reps there and some opportunities. Hogan's is a 6th-year player with a lot of experience. Hassanin is a junior. So I think they're going to be okay at the nose tackle. I think they're going to be okay at the defensive end. I don't know what they're going to do to replace Scott Matlock. That is a big one for me. I don't even know who. I mean, Scott Matlock was on the field 99% of the time. So I really don't even know who backed him up last year and what was going on with Scott Matlock and who they're going to put in there. We get access to coaches next week, and we're going to talk a lot about that defensive tackle position that Scott Matlock had and who's going to jump in there. The edge position, D. Wash will be the number 1 guy. Mm-hmm. A little bit of Gabe Hunter. Mm-hmm. Michael Callahan can play outside. Michael Callahan can play inside. That's kind of it right now, if you ask me. There's some other kids that are out there. The Tallow kid, the redshirt freshman, that's one newcomer from last year that I expect to jump in there. He had a little bit of experience last year.
What about the Boston College kid?
The Boston College kid is going to come in and make a difference. There's no doubt about that.
Okay.
And there's a couple of other transfers on the D line that they did a nice job with. But it's really, really hard to come in and make a difference right off the bat. So we'll see. We'll see where they go. They got the Virgin kid, another edge player.
Yep.
That can come in and do some stuff. So I think they got some bodies, but they got a big hole, a massive hole in Scott Matlock, and I have no idea where they're going to go with that one.
Yeah.
I will be watching for that position every single day at spring ball.
I mean, on paper, I like what they're doing at linebacker. We'll talk about that, but they don't look, as far on paper at least, that they're going to be all that tough up front, up in the middle. And who knows, stopping the run was somewhat of an issue for this team at points last year, but I think there's a lot of question marks interior on the interior defensive line, the pass rush. What do you think there? I mean, you mentioned Dimitri Washington. Maybe he can have that 10 sack or so season that a lot of people have been expecting him to have. Gabe Hunter showed a lot last year towards the end of the season, and that was very encouraging, seeing guys coming up and making plays when they get the opportunities. And whoever they brought in, you can't expect, maybe Misa can be some sort of a pass rusher, but I think he's more of a traditional linebacker.
He's a middle linebacker. I don't. He's not going to be touching the quarterback. So
I don't know what they're going to do to put a pass rush together, Prater.
Well, they got Washington. They got 4 or 5 guys on the edge, and they got some of these other transfers that are coming in. So the defensive line, and then Gums is going to be an anchor on the run. I think Gums is going to be one of the best run stoppers in all the Mountain West.
They need him to be.
Yeah, he has been. He started every game last year. He's going to be really good, and I'm not too worried about that at all. So. All right, let's switch over to linebacker. You got 2 minutes to go on linebackers. You talked way too long on the defensive line.
DJ Schramm.
Yeah, he's back.
I think he's the starter, the star of this defense. I think he gets a banner outside the stadium. He's marketable. Everyone's going to love DJ. I expect him to have a terrific year. Andrew Simpson, I thought, played well last year, too. I look forward to seeing what Andrew Simpson can do moving forward. I like him. And maybe Misa fits in there at linebacker. I think it's probably the strength of this defense.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a stretch. Andrew Simpson, I don't know if he can pop over and play in the middle. Let's see what he can do, because he has backed up DJ on that weak side. Hambrick is a new player that came in from last year. This Rip kid came in from last year. There's 3 redshirt freshmen that came in last year. Misa's the 3rd. So I think those 3 are going to fight for that middle linebacker spot. I don't know where else they're going to go with the middle linebacker. So we talked about the defensive tackle replacing Scott Matlock and the middle linebacker replacing Zeke Noah. Mm-hmm. I promise you guys, those will be the first 2 questions out of my mouth when we get coaches next week. What's the group of people? Who are the lineup? What's the opportunity there for these guys? So we'll certainly keep an eye on that linebacker spot moving forward.
I think Ty Tanner might get a strong look. We'll see what he can do. Can DJ Schramm play middle linebacker? Maybe that's something that they experiment with. Maybe they try to maximize DJ Schramm's ability and they play him where Zeke played. It'll be weird. Think about this. The last time Boise State played without Zeke Noah, you got to go way back. That's like Brett Rippon era when he started things up. But I like where they are with linebacker. You want to go to corners?
Defensive backs. Yeah, all defensive backs. Yep.
This scares me too. The corners, Prater, Markel Reed, I can't count on. Nohe Kaniho, I just don't think he's very good yet. I think there's a long way to go for Kaniho. And I know that's a very important name in this town. And his brother was one of the best players in the secondary they've had in a long time. I need to see more plays out of Kaniho. Prater, it felt to me that some teams tried and were successful at picking on Kaniho last year due to his size.
And that's going to continue to happen, but you would expect he's going to get better with the experience that he's had. I think the cornerback position is going to be a little bit of an issue, but they also have 3 players back with starting experience. Clark and Reed all had starting experience. They all started certain games last year.
So did Kaniho.
Yeah, so Kaniho was he started I think 11 games. So he was the main guy, and then Clark and Reed. Clark started the bowl game. Reed started the season opener against Oregon State, and then Kaniho was in there in the middle with 1 start from Tyreek LaBeouf as well. So I think they have some decent talent there at cornerback. Thornton is a kid, a redshirt freshman that came in that they expect a lot of things from as well. So there's at least 4 names right there on the cornerback position. They had, I think, 11 cornerbacks on last year's roster. They're down to like 7 or 8, which seems like a more manageable position number. But there's certainly a lot of work to be done with the cornerbacks.
Yeah, I don't like the corners.
You don't like them? Wow.
There's just a lot of work that needs to be done.
Well, that's different than you don't like them.
Need to be coached up.
Okay.
You know, I don't see a corner there that's going to be a first team all league guy. And I think Boise State needs a lockdown corner. I think that's an essential piece to any good defense, to have one truly artistic, gifted lockdown corner, at least as close to Caleb Biggers as you could find. He was decent last year. I don't think he was first team level like that. What about the safeties?
Yeah, I mean, the safeties are pretty good shape. Robinson, Tubner, Oladipo, Zion Washington, a couple of other kids coming in from last year, McCaddy, and this Noth kid. So I think they got some bodies there. I'm not worried about the safety position whatsoever. The safety position is going to be loaded. I absolutely 100% worry about the nickel position and how they're going to frame that. I don't even know where to start with that one.
Okay, do you think, I mean, if I could say I can pencil in at safety, I can go Shea Oladipo, Rodney Robinson, and then say Tubner. Now, I don't know which one of those will play the nickel. Maybe you go Robinson and Tubner at safety, and you play Oladipo at nickel. Or maybe Tubner is a better fit at nickel, and you play Oladipo and Robinson at safety.
Don't forget Zion Washington.
I think
He's very much going to be a part of this rotation.
They like Zion Washington.
Zion Washington
too.
is absolutely going to be a part of this rotation.
Can he be more of a nickel cover corner inside?
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's it too.
I have no idea.
Yeah. So all in all, you like this defense a lot more than I do.
Well, you think it sucks the way you sounded, but I think it's going to be good because Spencer Danielson and the system and the scheme are in place. They have half their starters back, which is always good at the Mountain West level. And if I have to rely on Andy Avalos and recruits that are coming in, I'm going to have to rely on a couple of these kids to be good football players. I just have to see it first.
And there's that safety from Nebraska too.
I'm not going to worry about any of the transfers until they actually. It's like JP. When there's a new employee that shows up here at Cumulus, he doesn't talk to him for the first 6 months. They have to kind of prove themselves to JP. He refuses to talk to newcomers because there's too much riffraff coming in here for 3 weeks.
You don't either.
Well, I never talk to him.
Yeah,
but JP talks to him. You guys
don't even know half the people we work with.
Well, I do that by design because I don't want to talk to any of them. JP talks to him after 6 months, but I'm like a newcomer on this football team. All these transfers, they're transferring for a reason. Nobody else wanted them, and I need to see them prove. I've seen too many transfers come in with too much hype and not live up to that hype. So at this point, I'm going to expect all of them to fail until they can prove me wrong.
I would like one or two of them to hit.
Well,
of
course we would like them to.
And I think they need that for this defense to be as good as it can be.
But to sit here and expect that they're transfers. They're transfers.
Mm-hmm.
The one at Utah is terrible.
The defensive lineman.
He was there for 3 years. He played one game.
He played one game.
You know, and the other kid hasn't played football. The Boston College kid hasn't played football for 2 years.
I think he redshirted.
So yeah,
and then there's the safety from Nebraska who played a little bit. I think he played good. I mean, and think about this: his ex-defensive coordinator Shenander is now the D-line coach. Maybe that connects some dots for you there. What do you guys think about this defense? 208-424-9300. Let us know. Give us some feedback for Feedback Finale. Big game at Extra Mile Arena tonight. Boise State, New Mexico, 8:30 tip. These late night tip-off games. We'll talk about this game and get your thoughts when we come back. It's Prater on the Ballgame. It's Idaho Sports Talk, KTIK, The Ticket.
From the Beacon Plumbing Traffic